Have you ever opened your phone just to reply to one message, and 20 minutes later, without failing at anything, you somehow felt like you were falling behind? You saw someone celebrating a promotion, someone your age launching a successful startup, someone smiling on a beach you've never visited. You never thought, I wish I were them. Yet somehow your own life suddenly felt smaller. Nobody compared you. Nobody criticized you. Nobody even mentioned you. So why did your confidence quietly disappear? What if one of the biggest sources of anxiety today isn't failure, but invisible comparison? And what if your phone isn't just showing you other people's lives? It's quietly handing you an invisible scoreboard you never agreed to play. Stick with me. By the end, this will make a lot more sense. For most of human history, comparison helped us survive. Our ancestors compared themselves with a small tribe to learn, belong, and improve. Today, before you've even finished breakfast, you've compared yourself with entrepreneurs, athletes, and people whose full-time job is to appear successful online. Your comparison instinct is ancient. Your comparison environment is completely new. Psychologist Leon Festinger called this social comparison theory. When objective measures are missing, we naturally evaluate ourselves by comparing ourselves with others. Thousands of years ago, that helped us find our place in the tribe. Today, the same psychological mechanism is exposed to millions of carefully edited highlight reels. The psychology hasn't changed. The environment has. And that's exactly where the problem begins. Here's a quick experiment. Imagine your entire life, your friendships, your work, your family, your small victories, was posted online by a complete stranger. Would you admire that life more than you appreciate your own today? If the answer is yes, comparison has already changed the way you see yourself. Here's the strange part. Invisible comparison rarely begins with envy. It begins with attention. Imagine it's nearly midnight. You promise yourself just 5 more minutes. A friend announcing a promotion, someone celebrating an anniversary in Santorini. You don't feel jealous. You simply keep scrolling. But your brain has already started asking silent questions. Should my career look like that? Should I have achieved more by now? Those questions don't feel like comparison. They feel like reality. Researcher Thomas Curran argues that modern life surrounds us with impossible standards, and social media magnifies them every day. Your ordinary Tuesday begins competing against someone else's greatest highlight. That's a game you were never designed to win. Around this point, something else quietly happens. Algorithms aren't asking, what comparison will help this person grow? They're asking, what will keep this person looking? So they don't just recommend content, they recommend identities. Who's successful, who's attractive, who deserves attention, and every scroll updates that invisible scoreboard. One comparison feels harmless. Hundreds quietly reshape your identity, not by force, but by repetition. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. Invisible comparison doesn't just change how you feel. It slowly changes who you become. Researcher Sherry Turkle argues that digital life encourages us to perform ourselves instead of simply being ourselves. Maybe that's why so many people feel disconnected from their own lives, living by standards they never chose. This isn't a new problem. It's just wearing a new outfit. 25 centuries ago, the Buddha called this craving Tanha, the endless whisper that peace is somewhere else. One more achievement, one more promotion. Marcus Aurelius landed on the same idea from a different direction, writing that the quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. 2,000 years apart, same conclusion. Today, the thing quietly shaping those thoughts isn't a teacher or a philosopher. It's a recommendation algorithm. Here's the cruelest part. You don't wake up one morning and decide to stop being yourself. You simply spend years becoming a version of yourself that earns more approval, but feels less alive. Maybe you've never lacked confidence. Maybe you've simply rented it to an algorithm that profits every time you believe someone else's life matters more than your own. Think about that. The most valuable thing you're competing for isn't success, it's your attention. Attention is the architect of identity. Whatever repeatedly earns it slowly earns your belief, and eventually your life begins to resemble whatever you've been looking at the longest. So how do we step outside this invisible comparison loop? Not by deleting every app. Comparison is human. The goal is awareness before automation. Here's a simple 5-step digital mind reset. I designed a free minimalist focus wallpaper for step 1 to serve as your daily lock screen reminder. Details at the end. Step 1. Catch the comparison. The moment your mood changes after scrolling, pause and simply say, I'm comparing. Psychologists call this affect labeling. Naming the emotion weakens its grip. The Upanishads describe a similar practice as Sakshi Bhava, becoming the observer instead of the prisoner of your thoughts. Step 2. Curate your digital diet. Your feed becomes your mental environment. Unfollow accounts that repeatedly leave you feeling inadequate. Algorithms optimize for attention. You should optimize for peace. Step 3. Create before you consume. Before you check your phone each morning, create something. Write, read, exercise, meditate. Even 10 intentional minutes remind your brain that your own life deserves your attention first. Step 4. Practice gratitude over rankings. Research by psychologist Robert Emmons shows that gratitude shifts attention away from scarcity and toward meaning. Every evening, ask yourself, what already makes today enough? That single question slowly replaces, why am I behind? Step 5. Measure inputs, not outcomes. The digital world measures followers, likes, views, status. The Bhagavad Gita teaches Nishkama Karma. Focus on your actions, not your attachment to results. Instead of asking, am I ahead of everyone else? Ask, did I become a little more intentional than yesterday? That's how you replace comparison with growth. Think about this. Your ancestors compared themselves with a small tribe to survive. Today, you're encouraged to compare yourself with millions of carefully edited lives. The instinct is ancient. The environment is unprecedented. So if comparison affects you, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means your mind is responding exactly as it was designed to, inside a world it was never designed for. Remember the invisible scoreboard we talked about at the beginning? Here's the truth. The scoreboard never disappears. The algorithm will always find another life to admire, another achievement to chase. Freedom doesn't come from winning that game. It comes from realizing you never had to play it in the first place. Protect your attention, because your attention becomes your standards. Your standards become your choices become your identity, and your identity quietly becomes your life. The most important comparison you'll ever make isn't with someone else's highlight reel. It's with the person you were yesterday. If this perspective helped you see yourself and the digital world a little more clearly, subscribe to Digital Mind Mentor and comment the word mirror within the next 60 hours. I'll personally reply with your private link to the free focus wallpaper. Every week, we blend science and timeless wisdom to help you think clearer and live more intentionally. Because the algorithm will always tell you who to become. The real journey begins the day you decide that answer for yourself.